Hey coaches, I'm gonna quickly touch on a number of team management items, and usually the big portion of this that stands out is, as with like everything in Strongside, our goal is to make things like a coach would think. So we're looking at a depth chart here, and I can grab a guy, I can place him in as a left guard, whatnot. And one of the big things here is being able to create your own personnel groups. So this is worth noting, but I think most people understand it when they see it, is you have positions that are, this is my on strong player, this is my off line of scrimmage, this is my on weak, and then I have an RB and an RB2, which it depends on the team. On strong might be your X, it might be your Y. Off line of scrimmage might be a guy named Z. This might be H, this might be T, so on. There's just so many different combinations. In fact, I think even some teams, certain systems have, they don't have a right guard, they have a strong guard and a weak guard kind of thing. So let's go here and I can show you, this is the X receiver demo, and so now you see my X receiver is no longer, I have on strong before, and now I just have X. So that allows you to kind of quickly create the personnel groups you want, and then you can, sort through those as what you want it to be. Let's go to players next, because I think players is something that is key to all of us. So we're going to take a look at D test, and let's open him up and let's go to edit. So down here, I've selected some positions that he's a part of. So he's part of our wide receiver, our joker, our tight end. Positions are specific to my program. So I could have a athlete, right? I could just have an athlete, or I could have a guy called bowler, and he would, that's my position, but he's a part of position groups that are blocked together um, for a more generic coach experience. This allows me to do both, right? I can say a kid's a tackle, and like I said a moment ago, he could be a strong tackle, but he's one of the tackles. I could say that a player is, it's important for him to see stuff for running backs, and it's important for him to see stuff for wide receivers. So these items propagate down to things that you share out. So if I share something out to my wide receivers group, well, only the wide receivers are going to get it. If this kid is out there, he's a wide receiver and he's an outside linebacker, my linebacker coach could send something and my wide receiver coach could send something. Both are going to go to him. But if this kid, let's say he's no longer an outside linebacker, well, he's only going to get stuff for wide receivers and tight ends. It's not going to show up in his notifications. It's not going to show up in any sort of inbox. Contact details, I think this is super useful to be able to have in one place and to be able to let players update it pretty quickly and easily. I could say, here he is, here's someone else that he's related to, here's his guardian contact information, he's their son, or whatever those relationships might be. Parent details can also be put in here, so if you want to have something specific that you can find, there you go, that's it. Recruit is pretty important, and I think something that is also, again, there's places where you can put it all together, but for a player and a coach to find it together, that can be pretty difficult. So let's say he took the ACT, right, and he got a 28 on it. I don't know what other kids get. I just know that, because some of the people around me, I suppose. He's 5'7", and he might be 5'7", and well, he might list himself there. And the last time I saw a 5'8" kid, he was actually 5'2". So all of these pieces you can kind of set up, and they can change them, but you at least have a place where you can update them and look at them, and you can also turn off their ability uh, to change it if needed. So you can add other sports that a kid's plays. That's pretty important for a lot of recruiting. They can stick in Facebook, Huddle, Twitter, Instagram, Max Preps, links, or usernames. Measurements, same thing as I think I've mentioned before with coaches. All right, this kid, we list him as an XL if he wants to buy a hoodie, but if he gets a polo, he thinks he's a small. Parent details, again, I think I just kind of covered that one. So there we go. We have players, and I'm going to touch on one other thing here. If he's got a little icon here, that means he has logged in before. That player has been able to get before. If they don't have that, then if they come to you and they say, I don't know how to get in, then they're probably not lying. They probably have never been able to figure it out. if they're having trouble as a coach or as an assistant coach, anybody, they can go in, not anybody, but any of the coaches can go in and press reset credentials. Super easy, super quick. It'll send them, if they have an email in here, it'll send them that stuff. If I'm a coach and I want to view things as a player is viewing things, there's really not a place in Strongside where you could upload or do things like that are malicious between two. A player couldn't send hate mail to another player. But if for some reason I wanted to see something as Carlos, I can go in here, I can select log in as Carlos, and I can maybe he says something's not getting to him. All right, I can see what Carlos can actually see. Editing, sharing profile. Let me open the share profile for 1 second. So I've opened up our D-test faker user. It'll give you a place where he could send out, if he wants to, a profile that's specific for recruiters or whatever it might be. Gives them information on how he's doing with different scores. His shuttle is certainly a reasonable 1 second. And we'll come back to this in a couple of videos. So now you've seen it here, and in certain videos, if you never watch them, you'll find out that there's other stuff. So I would check. Last in here is to take a peek at coaches. As a coach, I can be defined as a position group for a coach. So if someone shares something with all the running backs, it also applies to me as an assistant coach. I'm being added to that. So if I'm an offensive coordinator and I want to see everything that goes to offensive players, so let's see, I want to go down here. I think I want to find guards, and I don't have centers. And I think that gives me everything. So if one of my assistants shares something out to the running backs, then I'm going to go see it. I'm going to be able to get notified up here. And if I go out and share something that's for tight ends, it's not going to go to every single coach. Coaches are going to know that it's for them. If I'm a head coach, there's often an option in different places to say share with the whole team. Same thing, coaches, you can get their contact detail and their measurements for like jackets and stuff into one place. So that should kind of cover everything that happens with team management. And we'll touch on a couple other things. I'm going to pause it here and okay, this is worth covering. So I went into one of my plays and I'm looking at a video and I'm going to tag a player. I'm going to do D test faker again. I'm going to tag into this. So now that I've tagged him to a play, when I look at his profile, he's going to be in these ones. So if I ever want to go and take a look at something a kid's been tagged in, maybe he tagged himself, maybe someone else did, I can check it out and say, oh, okay, here's a good example of some teach tape for him or something he could submit to recruiters. It's in here, and maybe I can say, we've had situations for our team where it's like, hey, you don't want that video on your highlight film because, while it looks good to you, it's basically holding those sort of things. So this gives you a chance to see where kids might think they're doing a good job, or add them, tag something for them to see in their own profile, and that tag will show up and they'll probably see you as adding them to something where they did a good job. A little bit of recognition there. So that covers, I think, everything we'd want to cover on the portions of team management that don't get too far in depth. We'll see a couple other places where that comes into team development, and then some of this pregame and quality control stuff. Oh, and big board. People matter. And players, team management, that goes in everything.